What's up, everybody, and welcome. We are on our way to Port 32. Headed into Tampa here. We got to get across the big bridge. So let's go. So what's up, everybody? We made it. We are at Hulu Bay. Alright, so let's go find our boat. There's the Tierra. So alright, we have this Tierra here, and it actually has a generator issue. I guess it's either stopped pumping water or we got a sensor problem, so let's find out what's going on. Alright, so we're down in the hole here. We actually have through holes off. Strainer is nice and clean. Get in the hole. Here's our impeller. There's pieces of it left. So this is actually very common. It doesn't take but maybe a minute for this to happen if you starve it for water. So definitely make sure you keep your strainers clean and keep checking the water flow on the side of the boat, whatever you can do to make sure this doesn't happen, because it's not a fun spot to get to have to change this out. Alright, so before we replace this, I just want to give you a few tricks and tips here. One, if you burn the impeller up, you're going to want to pull these lines off here on each side of the impeller, or the pump housing itself. You're going to look inside the hose here to make sure that you got no impeller pieces or anything that's stuck inside here. Make sure there's none inside this tube. You don't want any blockage of water flow. Another commonality on these, when you do your servicing, make sure that they replace the seals on this water pump. They tend to leak if they don't get serviced every 100 hours. You also want to pull this line off here and check for stuff, blockage, stuff like that. The kit comes with a new impeller. You definitely want to use this lubricant here when you're putting it all together, and clean it. Make sure you have a new gasket. Alright, so now let's get it all back together. Roll that sweet footage. Alright, so we got our impeller all replaced. You want to leave the cover off the engine here so that you can check and make sure it's not leaking after you fire it up. Make sure it's pumping water good. Another thing is, make sure that your valve's back open and your strainer is clean. One way you can check to see if you have good water flow in your strainer is if you open it when the valve is closed. Open it up, shouldn't have any water flow. You open this, it should pump or should pour out pretty well by itself because of water pressure just from being under the water line. That's how you know if you'll have adequate water flow. You can see that's got good water pressure. So let's start it up and see what happens. Alright, so the last thing you want to check is definitely make sure you got good water flow coming out of it. So she's been running for a while, everything's good. We'll pack it up and head out of here. Well, alright, we're headed across the big bridge. We're out of the marina there, the Tierra's all done. Customer's happy, generator's pumping water. Now we're on our way to Loggerhead to check out a Regal. So let's go. All right, so we made it out to our Regal here. We actually have twin 200s back here. And our complaint is that you trim them up and the gauges don't move. Yeah, we're not getting anything. Oh, there it goes. So they're not calibrated. They're both working. It just needs to be calibrated. So in order to calibrate it, we're going to go to menu. It says calibration. Set trim set to 0. Or 00. Set 0. Okay. Now let's see what it does. Alright, so calibration didn't work. We have to go back to the motors and look at the little sticks that actually push the lever up and down. They're probably just misadjusted, so we're going to adjust them so that they start moving right away. Let me show you. You can barely see it here in the video, but there's a lever right there that actually pushes on that stick that goes up and down. So when this motor moves, that stick moves with it. Underneath here, where my finger is, if you can see it, there's a screw. We're going to unscrew that so we can let it out some, so that as the motor starts to move, it'll actually pick up that reading. It's too far up right now, causing it to not read until it gets to about half trim. So we're going to adjust this, and then we'll check them again. So we got them all adjusted. They should be even. I've already reset everything. Now let's see if they work. Alright, we're all done here. The trim's fixed behind me. Our gauge is working correctly. I'm going to tell them to put the boat back in the barn and head back to the shop and see what we can get into. So I'll see you there. Alright, I finally made it back to the shop here, and unfortunately I ran out of time. I actually just got to finish my paperwork here, get the van unloaded, get it all cleaned up for next week. So, I will see you then.